I moved slowly to the window and peered outside. On the horizon, I could see a massive mushroom cloud climbing slowly toward the sky. Would we really be able to change the course of history? No, that was the wrong way to look at it. It couldn't be a question. I had to change history. We could save the world. I'm gonna change history. I stared at the darkening skies above us and steeled myself. I would succeed. The end. Goodbye. Oh, that actually is the end. Wow, the computer died 2 dialogue lines before the end. End or beginning. Wow. Well. Oh, there's more? Infirmary, another time. It didn't even say there was more. Or is this like bonus non-canon part? "45 minutes? Oh my god. Do I have 45 more minutes? Oh.
I see you've finally woken up, Kyle.
Oh.
Kyle.
Ah, yes. Of course. You've only just woken up in this timeline. It's only natural for some of your memories to be missing.
I lurched upright, jumped off the bed, and ran around to the other side of the partition. The mirror over the sink was covered with a film of dirt. I wiped it off with my sleeve, and my reflection stared back at me. Really? We couldn't have done that 30 hours ago? Okay. There was no mistake. The reflection belonged to...
Kyle Climb. So, I'm Dr. Climb? Zero Senior's clone?
He sounds weird not through the
How do you
mask.
know that? Shouldn't you still be suffering from amnesia?
An excellent question, one I didn't quite know the answer to myself. I knew who Kyle Climb was. In another history, he'd been called K and had worn a suit of armor. He hadn't just worn the armor in that history, though. Apparently he'd worn it all his life. Kyle had been born and raised in this lunar installation, which seemed to be called Rhizome 9. Rather late in his life, Akane had appeared as a mother figure, and he'd consequently grown very attached to her. I knew everything about him, but even though I knew it, I didn't feel it. Was I really Kyle Climb? Every time I looked in the mirror, I saw his face. The spitting image of Sigma Climb in his younger days. I looked down. There was Dio, still handcuffed. I turned back around to Luna.
What day is today?
January 27th, 2074.
And today is the last day of the AB project. Akane has explained everything in the garden. And she drew a knife and attacked Phi. How long have I been asleep?
About 5 hours in real time. For them, it would have seemed like a little more than 2 hours.
So they still haven't been treated for their Radical 6?
No, they've all been given the antiviral. It just takes a while to have an effect.
I see. So the consciousness of the younger Sigma has gone back into the past. It should have happened right after Akane attacked Phi, right?
Yes,
Why am I here?
the doctor carried you back here. You were in the pod in the garden.
So the person you call the Doctor is Sigma Climb, as inhabited by his age-appropriate consciousness.
Yes, but how do you know that?
Dio seems to have remained unconscious.
Yes, I've been administering Soparil whenever he gets restless.
I don't know if that's healthy.
What about the others?
They've all gone off to different areas. Tenmyoji and Quark, for instance.
Oh, right! Mr. Klein!
So the sleepyhead's finally up, huh?
What are you two doing here?
You don't know where we are?
This is the upper floor of the pressure exchange chamber. The real one.
Mm-hmm.
We were just about to get dressed and head out.
You plan to return them? To Earth, I mean.
Yeah.
Sigma told us where we could find the shuttle that brought us here. Well, guess he's not really the Sigma I knew anymore. He's he's Dr. Climb now, or Zero Senior, depending on how you look at it.
Why?
What do you mean, why?
Well, I'm just curious why you would choose to return to a devastated planet when you could stay here.
How's staying here gonna help? You aren't gonna say something idiotic about how we should wait here until Sigma changes the past, are you? You can't wait for something that's already happened. Grammar doesn't work that way. Hell, nature doesn't work that way. You following me? We've already lived through history. Sigma failed to keep the virus from getting out. About 45 years ago, Radical 6 created a pandemic, and the antimatter reactors blew up. That all happened. Whatever Sigma does in the past, history's not gonna change. In fact, it's because of what he did or didn't do in the past that we've got this past and present. Let me give you an example. Imagine a group of 100 motorcycles driving down an endless freeway. Eventually, they hit a junction. The road splits in two. One freeway continues off northwest, and the other stretches out to the northeast. So one guy, we'll call him S, pipes up. "Let's go northwest," he says. So they take the northwestern road. But about a mile past the intersection, something horrible happens. A semi driving the other way veers into their lane and plows through
rip.
the bikers. 90 of
Not the
them die.
bikers.
The surviving 10 are wounded, but survive. They don't stop, though. They keep riding down that highway, and eventually, they'd gone 10,000 miles. Then suddenly, something happens that they couldn't have predicted. S, who had survived, suddenly has his consciousness thrown back in time. He ends up back in his own body just before they reach the junction. He remembers everything. So what does S do? What anybody would do. Let's go northeast. That means all 100 of the bikers survive to reach their destination, happy and healthy. And they all live happily ever after.
Yay.
That's what you're thinking, right? It's a great outcome for the 100 bikers that went northeast. But what about the 10 that went northwest and survived the accident?
Huh? Wouldn't it be 9 people? I mean, S's mind went back in time, right?
Right. Okay. 9 people then.
9?
What happens to the reality they were living? Does it just disappear when S changes the past? It's not as if it was only bad things that happened during that 10,000-mile trip. Maybe one of them fell in love with a woman working at a gas station they stopped at and had a child. Maybe one of them picked up a homeless kid who joined them on their adventure. That 10,000-mile journey would be full of stories, friendships, farewells, romances. The loss of those 90 lives is horrible and unfortunate. But what would rewriting their history mean? The 9 who survived lived full lives. How can it be right to just erase all that?
True.
The survivors overcame their own misery and loss and made the best they could of the hand they'd been dealt.
Right, he self-inserted a little in
Isn't
there,
that
huh?
worth something? Isn't that the best thing that humans can aspire to? Is there really any point to a world where everything is happy? Are people who struggle for a better life just idiots? Being human is about fighting, even when it seems hopeless, and finding happiness, even in a world that hates it. Are you saying that's worthless? If you're saying rewriting the past will erase all these other timelines, then whatever God wrote those rules can Look, I'm just not going to accept it.
He caught himself because Quark's here.
Get it?
If Sigma changes the past, then you and Quark will never meet.
Is this Troy Baker's voice?
Is he right?
No, it's not going to happen. We're here right now.
I guess
This
this game
is
did come out in the era before Troy Baker was too cool to voice anime games, right?
Even if Sigma does change the past, we're not just going to disappear or something.
Oh, then that means we get to stay together? Good.
Thanks, kid.
Thanks,
I understand
dude.
how you feel.
Travis Willingham? Huh. He totally sounds like Troy Baker.
Why you want to return to Earth is clear. You have lives there, I imagine. There are likely people waiting for you.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Have you already said goodbye to the others?
Bye, Luna, Alice, and Clover all saw us off. We told them we'd see them again someday, and then came here.
They were the only people you want to say goodbye to?
Well, no point saying anything to Dio.
Besides, he's asleep. You were asleep too.
Sorry, but we didn't really know much about you.
You have a point. Akane was in the armor in this timeline, after all. What about Sigma?
Well, he's not really Mr. Sigma anymore.
Of course, he is Dr. Climb now that his consciousness has returned.
Yeah, but more importantly, he's the guy who brought us all here. Not a lot of warm feelings there, you know?
And
That's fair.
Akane?
Never mind her. She's just like him. Not the Akane I knew. She must have seen some pretty awful things over the years. Hell, she might not even be human anymore.
Oh,
But the Akane Kurashiki I know isn't here.
that's sad.
She's not anywhere.
That's really sad.
In the end, Clover and I were just pawns. Pawns to be used and then gotten rid of. Still, it's not like we're completely resentful. We had to be here to help change the past. That part's easy to understand. But
Kinda sucks, though. I mean, Sigma
Kinda
and Phi
sucks,
have it
though.
easy. They get to go back to December 25th in 2028. They'll stop the Radical Six and save the world, and then they'll have a nice, normal future to look forward to. In other words, they get to go back to Point E and just enjoy history like it was supposed to happen.
But we don't. We're stuck with Point C as our starting point.
You told us about Tenmyoji's story, right? The one with the motorcycles? It would be like if Alice and I were kidnapped right before the intersection. Then whoever grabbed us takes us to wherever the bikers are going, 10,000
Wait, how do you
miles
know
to
about the
northwest.
intersection? Oh, I told him about
Don't
it.
get
Okay,
us wrong.
convenient.
We know why we had to be here. Without us, S's consciousness wouldn't have been able to go back to right before the intersection.
If that couldn't happen, then the fate of those 90 dead bikers would be sealed. But
It's still not the best situation for those of us left in the Northwest. We're stuck in the reality where the 90 bikers died.
are we just supposed to go live on Earth? It's a wasteland now. And what about our friends and families? We left a whole world behind 45 years ago.
Even if it is for the greater good?
It just doesn't seem fair, does it?
Yeah,
It's true.
it's a little bit
It's kind of
much.
messed up.
So we went and talked to the old lady.
She told us that there is one way.
One way we could get back to the past.
Let's say you do go back to the past. Wouldn't that cause your minds to get thrown back here? That seemed to be how Sigma and Phi's jumps worked, at least.
Yes, you're right.
But this is different.
Different. How so?
From what she said,
Clover,
it sounds
she's
like
right,
there's a way
stop
we can
smiling.
send our bodies back in time too.
Wait, what?
That's ridiculous.
No way.
It would create a paradox. How could you have two Clovers and two Alices at the same time?
But that wouldn't happen.
Akane says there's a way around that.
How on earth does she plan to do that?
Schrodinger's?
Cat.
Oh, god damn it.
Oh, hey, Kyle.
What? You're just gonna cut the scene there?
Figured you'd come here eventually.
Where's Dr. Klein?
All back to
Luna
the
said you were
damn
with him.
cat.
He said he was tired, so he's off resting right now. There's a bedroom at the end of the hallway. He's in there if you're curious. Oh, right. He told me to turn on this hologram projector thing when you showed up.
I still don't know
Want me
why
to
Phi
start
was
it?
important, really.
Sure.
Why did she need to go back, too? Didn't really explain.
Glad to see you. There isn't anything in particular that I have to tell you. However, I imagine there are a great number of things weighing on your mind. I'd love to answer all your questions, but unfortunately, my circumstances make that an impossibility. I hope you can forgive me. Everything I know, Phi should also know. I have instructed her to answer any questions anyone might have. Anyone other than Kyle, that is.
Rude.
What does he mean, other than Kyle?
Who knows? Is there anything you want to ask?
Right, well, I guess I may as well cut to the chase. Just who are you, Phi?
I'm not Superman, that's for sure. And I'm not Batman or Spider-Man or Aquaman or a Merman or a Wolfman. I'm not a
True.
Brahmin or Common or Ramen. I'm not a Cayman either, so you really don't need to worry about anything.
Phi, this is like one of the first things you
Please
said.
don't dodge the question. About 5 hours ago, Akane attacked you with a knife. That triggered something which sent your mind back to the past, correct? Specifically, you were sent to Point D, April 13th, 2029. On that date, your body was already in Akane's custody.
Yeah, she's
Although by
already
then you were in
asleep.
cold sleep. You wouldn't have regained consciousness, but your mind was now inhabiting that body. That pod was your home for 45 years. You slept there, frozen, until the time was right. Then on January 25th, 2074, you were finally thawed out, even though you didn't wake up. Still unconscious, you were carried to the AB room. That was when your consciousness changed bodies again. A version of you from December 25th, 2028 arrived, pushing you out and sending you back to December 25th, 2028. This is when you finally woke up. In 2028, you found and joined forces with Sigma, whose older mind was inhabiting his younger body. Together, you attempted to infiltrate the Mars mission test facility. Fortunately, your plan failed. The Radical Six did escape on New Year's Eve. That failure determined the path you followed.
Fi's backstory is
Instead
fucked
of
up.
going along the line that branches out to the right from point E, you headed straight to point D. Point
Okay.
D being April 13th of the following year.
Right, that's where we landed.
That
Yeah,
was the day
right
that
there.
you made your way to Akane's hideout and asked to be put into one of the treatment pods. Another consciousness enters your body around that time from the future. It is, of course, the version of you that left your body when Akane attacked you in the garden. This caused the two versions of you to swap places.
Oh my god, I'm lost.
You moved 45 years into the future, where you woke up on the garden floor.
Okay.
That put you on the line that comes here. So if we discount the time you spent in cold sleep, for you, only 3.5 months have passed since that happened. That being when you were sent back into the past from the garden. Have I missed anything?
No, everything you talked about you got right.
Well, what do you mean by that?
I'm kind of an unknown variable in this equation. You could think of me as a kind of X factor. It's taken me the last 3.5 months to understand it.
And I haven't understood anything in the last 3.5 seconds. Could you please explain?
True.
It's kind of like the relationship between classical mechanics and modern physics. Strictly speaking, you can't combine velocities with v1 plus v2. v1 plus v2 divided by 1 plus v1 times v2 over c squared is the actual equation.
Yeah?
Of course, the sort of velocities we encounter in day-to-day life don't come close to being c squared, which is the speed of light squared. That means that 1 plus v1 times v2 divided by c squared is usually going to evaluate to something pretty close to 1. Since that would mean dividing by 1, it's usually okay to just skip that step and use v1 plus v2. You see what I'm saying? In most situations it works, even if it isn't technically correct. So you knew enough to get the stuff you were talking about right. As long as you stick to that, you won't run into any problems.
I don't quite understand. In fact, I feel like you're dodging my questions.
So is that what you wanted to ask about?
No. What I really want to know is what happened between Christmas and New Year's Eve in 2028.
Right here between A and E.
You and Sigma infiltrated the Mars mission test site, didn't you?
Yes.
What happened there? How did Sigma lose his eye and both his arms? And why was Radical 6 in there in the first place? What could a deadly virus have to do with the simulated mission to space?
Sorry, but I can't tell you that.
Why?
Because it would change history. There is a history where the virus didn't escape. That's the
one?
line that goes to the right of point E. In that
Okay.
timeline, humanity isn't heading for annihilation, and Earth isn't red. The future is much brighter. But if I tell you what you're asking me right now, then that reality will disappear.
Wait, why?
You understand?
I don't. Why would all of that disappear if you told me what I want to know?
You're about to go back to the past, right?
The past? Don't be silly. I can't do that.
Then where the hell did you learn all this stuff? I just listened to you tell me a bunch of things you shouldn't have known about. You were sleeping in the pod in the garden. You just woke up. So how can you know all this? You know my past. Sigma's past.
We're all cats, Drexel. Everyone is a cat.
I shall give you your answer. You are not Kyle Climb.
Oh.
Your body is Kyle's, but your consciousness is not.
Oh.
Think about it. Do you really believe you're Kyle, or could you be someone else entirely?
Then, where is the real Kyle's consciousness?
He was thrown out when you entered. Right now, in a manner of speaking, he has arrived at December 25th, 2028. His consciousness has gone into a body from that time. I doubt you know
Question
how
mark?
much the doctor loves Kyle. He raised him on his own. Kyle is irreplaceable. Do you really think he would go back to the past and leave Kyle behind here? I know what I told the others, that Kyle was Dr. Climb's spare, but that was not his only purpose. Kyle's consciousness is integral to what we are trying to accomplish. This new mission begins on Christmas and ends on New Year's Eve 2028. Its purpose will be to infiltrate the test facility and prevent the spread of the virus. For this to happen, Kyle is absolutely necessary.
And that is why he created him?
Yes.
So now that my consciousness has entered his body, the doctor has achieved his objective. Kyle has gone back to 2028 to participate in his mission.
Correct.
There's one thing that troubles me. Kyle was created before reaching point B from point D.
Right.
That means his body did not exist on Christmas in 2028.
Yes.
Does that mean he has entered my body? Have we just switched places?
I suppose you could put it that way, yes.
That's ridiculous. What's going to happen to me? You telling me I have to spend the rest of my life here in this box, living in a borrowed body?
No, not at all. You can travel freely through time and space. You are an uncontrolled variable that entered our closed system. As such, the rules of this world do not apply to you.
Oh, easy clap.
I have no idea what...
Please don't try to play dumb. I know what you are. Surely you must know by now, too. You are about to go into the past and save the world. Vi and
He's a
Sigma,
cat.
even with all of his future knowledge, will need your help. Only you can right the horrible wrongs of our past. Only you can save the world.
There's no way I...
Yes, there is. You have to. Don't you want to know the truth?
Maybe.
Don't you want to know what happened?
Don't you
in
want to
between
buy the
Christmas
third
and
game in the
New Year's
series?
Eve in 2028?
Right.
Well, yes, I do, but...
Then you must believe. Reality is shaped by what we believe reality should be. If observation can change the motion of a particle, then how is it odd to think that human thought can shape reality? Your will can change history. The world will be reshaped into the one you imagine.
That's cool, I think.
Remember what I've told you. Only you can change history. Only you can save the world.
Me? Alternative semicolon end. Is that like Steins Gate and shit? Wow, almost exactly 40 hours.